What's happening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with your host, Kwame Fisher-Jones. As always, I am him, and I'm talking NFL, so I'm joined by my man, Chris Franklin of NJ.com. Chris, we got a busy, quiet week leading up to the Super Bowl that I'm not going to watch. I don't know about you, but my football season ended when Caleb left. When the Bears lost, my football season ended. My team lost, but then I had no players of interest that I want to watch. I said the Patriots. I picked the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl weeks ago, mid-season. So, it's not even, I don't even have the element of surprise. I picked, and, I'll say it now, that I believe they're going to win. So the Patriots are going to be Super Bowl winners. So football season's over for me. But this week brought us a lot of news. The first topic we're going to jump into, I know you're going to have some strong opinions on, but I think I'm going to shock you with the direction I go. And it's Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer, despite being a Hall of Famer. He was not selected to the NFL Hall of Fame this year at his upcoming enshrinement class, and people are in an uproar. I'll save my comments for after yours, but first, what were your opinions of Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I'll start with this. I think it's asinine that he wasn't. I mean,
Really?
yeah, the fact that even if you took away, and the main thing is, there's reported that Bill Polian said that he made this impassioned speech about Spygate and Deflategate should be the reason why he wasn't the first ballot, which Polian denies, but it sounds pretty legit. That I still look at the three Super Bowls he won after all that, and there still was that successful after that. You also look at the fact that when you look at his record time, the amount of players that developed under him, it doesn't make sense that he wasn't. I mean, if you and I've heard the argument over and over again, I have to kind of agree. If he's not, if his record is not the one that sets up what a first ballot coach should look like, who deserves that moniker? I mean, you look at everybody else. Look what he's done. He's almost he's only, I think, like 14 games away from breaking Don Shula's record for all time wins as well too. The
But he didn't
resume,
bring it.
yeah, he didn't break it yet. And from what it sounds like, somebody said he was. I think it was Florio reported that owners think he's radioactive right now, and they won't touch him because of what's going on in North Carolina. So I think he's going to stay second, which second all time in NFL, no writer. But
No.
overall, he deserves to be in. He just does.
Well, okay. Full disclosure, I agreed with you initially. But the one thing I've learned in life is to hear other people's point of views. Disagreement should not breed contempt. And Chris Broussard had a great point on first things first. He said that if you didn't vote for Bill Belichick for anything other than Spygate or Deflategate or than cheating, you should have your credential pulled. You should not be a Hall of Fame voter. He said, but if you voted against him or didn't vote for him because of those things, because he did cheat, I've got no problem with it. I've got no problem with you giving him a smack on the hand or, uh, you know, um, a punishment because he did cheat. Because the margin between wins and losses in professional sports is this much, and if you can find a little bit of edge to make it this much, then you're cheating. Now, he won the Super Bowls. He beat the Steelers. He beat the Colts. So it makes no, it's, I'm not surprised that Poland was the one that had the passionate speech about him cheating because it was his team that lost. But for me, in my opinion, I agree. There's information about this that we don't have. There's things that we don't know. And with that information, it it leads me to believe, it takes me down the road of maybe there are things there that allowed him to give a competitive advantage. And if he had an advantage, that's cheating. Paul George just got suspended for 25 games, right? Greatest free agent acquisition of all time. Let me just say that. Great championship, greatest acquisition ever. But no, because the NBA said he had a competitive advantage, whether it was on purpose. I use this analogy at work. I use it in life. There's a difference in sentencing for manslaughter and for murder, but there's still sentencing. There's still a punishment for it. Your intent plays a role in how long you're punished, but you're still punished. And final note, final comment on this. The punishment doesn't have to fit the crime. You can do 60 years for stealing a bottle of soda. That's not fair. It's just a bottle of soda. You shouldn't have stolen. You shouldn't have stolen. Now, if the circumstances that led to all that stuff, and you didn't really steal it, that's different. But if you made a conscious effort to steal that bottle of soda, you are now leaving and entrusting your future and your life in the hands of somebody else. He cheated. How he cheated, why he cheated, the levels in which he cheated are irrelevant. He cheated. And by cheating and getting caught, Robert Goodell covered him by burning the tapes, allegedly. No one ever talks about it. No one ever talks about it because it wasn't that big of a deal, allegedly. Tom Brady went on and won a Super Bowl someplace else to prove that he is one of the greatest of all time, so he won't be punished for it. But Billy Bill, and it doesn't help that he's got a girlfriend that's 20 years old. I rarely talk about the people off the field, off the court. Personal life doesn't mean anything. It's not a morality hall of fame. It's a hall of fame for your sport. But this dude cheated, got caught, everybody's face, and hasn't done anything since he lost the greatest quarterback of all time. In my opinion, all of those factors lead to maybe next year. Terrell Owens got punished for the foolishness that he did because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He got punished. Bill Belichick is not above that. Floor is yours.
Well, it's funny you mentioned morality because given current news that came out about certain files, and then also you look back at Hollis, the pro football George Hollis and his decisions back in the day, it's definitely not a morality thing. But at the same time, I look at it as a fact that I think the NFL knew all this stuff was going on in front of Spygate. Jimmy Johnson even came out and said that all the coaches were doing it. Howard Mudd, back when with the Colts, who was a former Eagles, but back when he was with the Colts, they say Jimmy Johnson said he was the master of it, doing it in videotaping. I think they just busted him because they got it from. Remember who busted him? Who originally put it in? Eric Mangini, his former assistant, did that, and they caught him doing it at an angle he shouldn't have been. But everybody was doing it. So I'm like, you're going to make him the example, but some of these other guys not. And then there's the unintended consequences that come from it. One, I'll stick out with some of the writers there. There's one writer from Kansas City Star that admitted he didn't vote for it, which for Belichick, but everybody thinks it was all the writers. That committee that selects from the coaches involves other executives and also TV members. So did that go into the thing? And so now everybody's thinking the writers, that may have to change the whole system again, which is that. The other one is there's another coach who's still who's going to be up pretty soon, Mike Shanahan. He's up for a whole thing now. So now they're not going to vote Shanahan in before Belichick. So now all of a sudden he's set up. He's got to wait another year waiting that. It just, all this ripple effect for a guy that it was a no question thing. It's just, and you lost the credibility of the Hall now. The Hall lost some credibility. Anybody's going to question.
Oh, I disagree on that, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I disagree on that. I think they gained credibility because the one thing that they've been is consistent. The NFL Hall of Fame always has somebody that doesn't get in that people think she should get in, and it's not. I'm not going to touch the Giants owner. I wanted to, but I think there's no reason to. I will say this: I went to an Eagles game when they signed Michael Vick in Oakland. And they lost to the Raiders. So when Donovan McNabb was quarterback, and I saw the protesters. I hope they keep that same energy. I hope they keep that same energy. I'm just going to leave it at that. I hope they keep that same energy because you were out there for a man that served time for a crime he committed. I hope they keep that same energy. But anyway, and you mentioned TV executives, man. There was no redeeming quality to Bill Belichick. Like he cheated and he was a jerk to the media, at least publicly. He cheated and he wasn't nice to the players. He cheated and he had nobody that was like, oh, well, yeah, Bill Belichick's a good dude. So when everybody's saying, and you cheat, like there's nothing there to stick up from. There was nobody to pound the table and say, this guy is something good. Like, this guy is something nice. Like there was nothing there. So yeah, he got caught in the cookie jar and now he got to take the cookie and he left his ring. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's more of a status thing to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. we all know for all intents, it's like Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer. Like he's the greatest baseball player. Like Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer. We don't need Gilbert Arenas is a Hall of Famer. Stephon Marbury is a Hall of Sean Kemp, they're Hall of Famers. They may not get the t-shirt and the mug, but they're Hall of Fame. Terrell Owens is a first ballot Hall of Famer. We all know it. We all know it. It's just funny. And the irony, and then we can switch to coach hires. It's the irony of it all is they spend years talking about Bill Belichick specifically in a smaller ratio, and a little bit smaller tolerance. They spent years saying they didn't care what people think. They're the smartest man in the room. They spent seasons. I don't really need you guys. I don't care what you think. You don't know anything. And now they want to turn around and say, well, that's not fair. They should have voted me in. Why? You badgered them, bullied them, belittled them for season upon season upon season. And now when you're at their teeth, you want to suck. No, no, no. You're not like I have no problem with it. Chris Broussard made a great point, and when I pulled the layers back and saw it from a different road, a different perspective, I got a different view, and he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in the sense of accomplishment, but in everything that the Hall embodies, he's not. He's not, just like Terrell Owens was it. Now, moving along from one coach, it's pretty much done, to the current coaches that have been named. And correct me if I'm wrong. The Arizona Cardinals job is still available.
Yep.
The
Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders job is still available.
That's it. Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So those two jobs aside, what's the best head coaching hire you saw this week?
The best one, I think, overall, it's got to go to the Giants with John Harbaugh. I think
Really?
that was the one. I think that's the one because that whole organization needed a washing away because you don't want to say lose. I don't care. That's a losing organization. When you look back to the time, an organization that used to, its baseline was divisional round at least. You knew they were going to get to there. You saw the players they had, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, we won a playoff game, or hey, we're happy. If we get at least 6 wins, it's a successful season. They needed somebody who was a proven winner to come in there just to set a culture. Because Brian Dable, okay, he came for the Bills, but he never had that success. Ben McAdoo, enough said. Joe
I
Judge,
forgot about him.
yeah, Joe Judge
Wow.
and
I
Ben
completely
McAdoo.
forgot. Is he coaching anywhere now?
I probably assistant somewhere. I don't know. He's not definitely not a head coach.
Let me
He's
look
definitely
that
not
up. Go
one.
ahead. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
He's not that. No, you're good. I just look at that and they needed that. Now, did he get the offensive coordinator he wanted? No, because Monken went over there. But I just think overall, with what he's done in the past, his track record of winning, and him knowing with that roster, sometimes all it takes is to know how to win. And you look at that young roster, they just don't know how to win. So you get Dart there, you get I still everybody told us Scatterboo. You still got to include Tyrone Tracy Jr. because he's a really big piece of that offense and that run game. And Malik Neighbors when he comes back and it's going to have first couple of games, going to have to worry about that knee. You get all those pieces along with some of those defensive pieces. Yeah, they're going to be a problem. They can be a problem. I can see next year. I can see them fighting for a wild card spot, and then the following year, I think they're legit. In the following year, I think you got to look at them as a potential legitimate contender for a division. So I think that was the fix that they needed to do that.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. McAdoo is a senior defensive assistant for the New England Patriots, Super Bowl winning New England Patriots, by the way. Interesting way to like, interesting place to land this week. I want to tear apart Harbaugh for a second. My pick is Todd Monken, but I want to tear up Harbaugh for a second because there seems to be this what's the word I'm looking for? Seems to be this assortment, conglomerate of people that believe John Harbaugh is a great coach, and he may be. We'll find out. He won one Super Bowl. One Super Bowl. I think you and I would agree that he probably fell short in about 4 seasons where he should have at least made it to the Super Bowl. 8-9 last season, 12-5, 13-4, 10-7, 8-9, 11-5, 14-2, 10-6. So you would say 13-4, 14-2 should have landed in the Super Bowl somehow, some way. All right. Well, prior to Lamar Jackson. You had 8-8, 10-6, 5-11, 8-8, 9-7, 10-6. How good is Lamar Jackson?
He's
That's not
very
in the
good.
conversation. Yeah, he's very good. Very good. It was rhetorical, but I'm glad you chimed in. He's very, very, very good. Very, very, very good. Do we know Harbaugh's very, very, very good? We don't. I don't know John Harbaugh is this coach that everyone believes him to believe him to be. Bill Cowher, for you youngins out there, was a coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He won one Super Bowl. No, he won one Super Bowl. He won one Super Bowl with Ben Roethlisberger,
Yeah.
and he walked out, swan song. He left perfectly on top, and never got another head coaching job. And he was rumored for about 5 years after he left to get a head coaching job. I think that's going to be what happens with Mike Tomlin. Bill Cowher is regarded as one of the greatest coaches of all time. He's not. He's not. But he walked out on top, and it made it appear like he was. And the further you get away, the more your legend builds. John Harbaugh underachieved quite a bit when he was in Baltimore. He had the Kansas City Chiefs, couldn't beat the Kansas City Chiefs. He had other teams he struggled against. Most recently, the Buffalo Bills lost. Lamar Jackson's development should be a credit to Harbaugh, but it should be more of a credit to Lamar Jackson. And you said Lamar Jackson is very, very good. I think he's a great football player. I think he's one of the best in the game. Harbaugh's not going to have him in New York. He's going to have Jackson Dart in New York. He's going to have a one-legged Malik Neighbors. And he's going to have a division that features at least two of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. And wherever you sit on the Dallas Cowgirls, miss me with the Dak Prescott isn't one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. He is. Statistically, he is. So I'm not by no stretch of the imagination going to believe for 1 second that Harbaugh isn't a guy that isn't a decent head coach. But I don't think he's going to have as much of an impact as people think he is. I think the Giants will be a 500 team next year. Jalen and Dak in their division, Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott in their division is going to keep both of those teams at least 500 or better. So that means you're going to have to find the straight wins between I was about to call them Redskins, the Commanders. That's not going to be an easy task because I don't think the Commanders, I think they had a bad season, but I don't think they're a bad team. So you've got a really good division. And you don't have the horses to run in your division because Jackson Dart, at best, is the third best quarterback in that division. And talent-wise, I don't think the Giants have the talent of the Eagles. I don't think they've got the talent of Dallas. And I don't think they've got the skill position players, specifically quarterback and wide receiver, of the Commanders. So I think the Giants are going to struggle. Now, mine is Todd Monken. Why, you ask? Well, you didn't ask, but I'm going to assume you're going to ask. Why, you ask? Who the hell is Todd Monken? He's a mediocre offensive coordinator who had 1 to 2 good years with Baltimore, but Baltimore struggled when he was there overall as a team. He's 60 years old. I think he may be the oldest of all the hires. I don't know how old Harbaugh is. You can look this up. I just think that there's a show called Breaking Bad, and Jesse tells Heinz, what's his name? I forget the guy's name, but Jesse tells Heigendosk, whatever his name is.
Heisenberg.
That, yeah, Heisenberg. That if you want to be a criminal, you got to get a criminal lawyer, and you're not a criminal lawyer, but a criminal lawyer. Basically, if you want to find somebody to get you out of the mud, you got to find somebody that's in the mud. Monken's in the mud. Like he's a I don't want to say he's a man's man, but he fits Cleveland. He's a homely looking guy. He's been in the NFL for years. There's nothing special about him. There's nothing special about Cleveland. It's an awful place to live. I hate to say it like that, but it is. It's cold even in June and July. It's got nobody gets there's no layovers in Ohio. Nobody's excited about going to Ohio. Everyone says it just like this. Well, I got to go to Cleveland. But then every conversation with people that have to go to Cleveland is like that. I got to go to Ohio. No one lives in Ohio in their off season. Everybody there has to be there. Like, it's a flyover city and state for a reason. Funkin fits that. He fits that. Shador fits that. There's nothing special about these guys. And it works. Because Cincinnati right now, we're still lying about Joe Barrow. Pittsburgh right now. What we talking about? What we talking about in Pittsburgh right now? McCarthy? Stop it. And that leaves Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. They've got a solid young quarterback with a high football IQ. They've got a solid pedestrian head coach with a high football IQ. They've got a team full of talent. I would think you'd agree with me on this one. Cleveland's got a lot of talent on that football team. A lot of talent on that football team. Just don't know how to put it together because they're in Cleveland. So you got this team of like schmucks running around here that nobody wants, that are never haves and never will be's coming together, led by a guy that, I mean, let's be realistic. He probably wears khakis for no reason. Like, he doesn't even probably own denim. Like, dude, I really like the Munkin hire. I really like the Munkin hire for football reasons, because he's not a guy that's coming in with this just mad scientist, sure looks the part of it. He looks like Cleveland. You were to draw Cleveland, Duncan's the guy you draw. Floor is yours.
See, the problem is only the Cleveland Browns can be the only team that messes up something when they have a coaching hire, which is supposed to be a great prospect. And they probably lost their defensive coordinator. And here's the thing with that. I
That's
look
fine.
at, I don't know. Because now you just set off a chain reaction that could have gave the balance of power to another team in the West, the 49ers. They set that off big time. But I look at it, because especially with Jim Leonhard now hired by the Bills as the new DC, he can go out to the 49ers, which if that happens, hand the 49ers the House trophy next year, because that's just but I look at Monk, I
Hold
like
on
what he
now.
does.
Hold on. Save your predictions for the prediction show. We'll talk
Uh,
about it.
but I like Monk in the sense that he fits his schemes to the personality he has, and he gets the most out of them. And so when you look at, like, you try to overlay what happens, you look what he did with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely,
Mm-hmm.
even though Andrews dropped it. You can use that same stuff with Harold Fannin Jr. and Njoku. You do that. Shador, I think he gets him out on the edges in there, and that run game, he can figure it out. So yeah, I like that. It's the fact that now you added him. I question the defense. I those guys played really hard for Schwartz. Miles Garrett loves Schwartz. Denzel Ward is there. They love Schwartz. The fact you look at what they did, they had to rely on defense because the offense didn't do anything. So now you lose him. I wonder how that, and it's still the Cleveland Browns organization, because they probably were telling, "Oh yeah, Jim, we really are thinking about hiring you. We really think about you." And then he's out, and "Oh yeah, we're hiring our Tom Monken." And they said Schwartz was visibly upset leaving the facility. So now you gotta find somebody and sell it. If I'm Miles Garrett, you're worried about now. I'm like, if I'm Miles Garrett, I'm like, you know what? If Max Crosby is being considered to be traded, trade me, because I don't have that much time left. Trade me. I don't want to play for this and have to go through another rebuild again. So yeah, I like the idea of it, but the fact that what it set off in that chain reaction that happened, only the Cleveland Browns.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look, I know what you're saying about Jim Swartz. Well regarded, highly regarded, appreciate you. But take your goal watch out the door. Like, there's other guys that can make it happen. There's other guys that can do things like that. Thank you. There's other guys that can do things that Schwartz has been able to accomplish. I'm not crying over the loss of Jim Schwartz. He can go that way. I really like what Tom. Did you see the video? You're just gonna laugh at me. You're gonna laugh at me. I know, and I'm cheesy and I'm corny. But did you see the video of him hugging Shador?
Oh, what he said afterwards.
Yeah, like, we wanted to draft you. We almost got you. Like, we'll talk about that someday. It was awkward. It was like your father hugging. It's like a father hugging his college son. It's awkward. But you think about this. No one wanted Shador. It was all this foolishness came in with him. And then, don't know Barry wanted him. Stefanski wanted him. Then they didn't want to play him because they had Joe Go, Gaggle at quarterback, who they were high on. Like, dude, all of that's gone, man. The first thing he does as the leader of the team is ingratiates or I want to say ingratiates himself, but that's not how you pronounce it. But he introduces him, he humbles himself. That's what I want to say. He humbles himself and meets the quarterback. And he could have flown to his house, but he still has to maintain that level of I am, you are beneath me, but I am above you. You know, to do that, it says a lot about him as a man. And look, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. And I'm not saying Cleveland's going to the freaking playoffs next year, but they'll be a good football team next year. They'll be in the running towards the end of the season because they'll play for Monken. They'll have stability because they won't have a guy that thinks the smartest guy in the room. He knows he's not the smartest guy in the room, which will make him the most appreciated guy in the room. He's not a guy that is gonna win any popularity contest. He's not Chucky. He didn't come up through I'm serious. He didn't come up through some sort of fancy offensive system. He's a guy that came in the mud. He's a guy that is gonna be up all night trying to figure it out. And he got it. You know what he reminds me of it like this. He's a seal here up the alley guy. And there's not a lot of those left in the NFL. And for those of you who didn't get that, too bad, too sad. But there's a guy right now that got that. And I'll repeat it. That's why I like Monken. Because he's a seal here, up the alley guy. You know who else is a seal here, up the alley? Excuse me, seal here, up the alley guy? Vic Fangio. You know who else is a seal here, up the alley guy? Sean Payton. And what do those guys usually do when they go places? And I don't like Sean Payton one bit. But the wins.
Yeah.
He took that Denver team and they won. And you know what else he does? He gets emotional. He humbles himself. And he brings in the coordinators. He humbles himself, and understands that he's players. So I just like Monken. Another hire that I don't like, but I'm really really curious about is Stefanski in Atlanta. That's where he landed, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's. I'm not gonna say I dislike it because I don't want to say I dislike it. I thought he should have went to Arizona. I'm not gonna hold you, but the NFC South sucks. Like it's bad. 10 wins you can win that. Atlanta's got horses. Atlanta's got talent. And Atlanta has zero expectations every season. I'm the only one that ever thinks the Falcons are going to be good. So that's another one that caught my eye. Now, quickly, speaking of coaches, I want to take one step back. Sean Mannion, named offensive coordinator for the Eagles. I don't like it. I don't like it. He was the Oregon State quarterback when I was on the radio for the Fanatic. I remember Emory saying that he had a chance to be a good quarterback. And he did. He played 9 years in the NFL. Was he a Hall of Famer? No, but when you play more than 5 years, you're pretty good at your job. You're one of the best in the world. So you put Emory right. I don't know if a guy that close to Jalen's age is that we won't have him. Say you.
I think they went back to their history because when you think about what the Eagles did under Lurie, remember a certain Green Bay assistant who came during his first year at Ray Rhodes, John
Yeah,
Gruden.
John Gruden. Yeah,
Remember a quarterbacks coach that came from the Packers, Andy Reid. So I think,
President Sean Payton. Yeah.
oh yeah.
They
So I
they
think
they. I'm sorry for just quickly. People don't know the Eagles have a history of bringing in young head coaches that turn into be really good head coaches. Sean Payton's on that list, so he was a quarterback coach for a year when he was in Philly. Go ahead, floor is yours.
yeah, when you look at that, so I think they saw some things. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the Shanahan system. I think one because I think a lot of teams do it, so it's being figured out a little bit more and more. But when you look at what the Eagles have done well this year and all that dreck of offense that we saw, they ran well toward the outsides with the tackles, with the outside zone. You look at the way that you can get a mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts, you have that as well too. And you just hope you get some semblance of a run game. with and some consistency. So I like that. The Josh Grizzard stuff, adding him with Mannion, I feel okay with because at least you got somebody who who's not in the head. Hey, he's not calling plays, even though I know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense stunk at points when you look at the
Yes.
receivers because they missed the receivers. They didn't have Mike Evans and they have Chris Godwin for a long stretches. But you look at the way that some of the route trees and the scheme, I like that. You can see with this here. The thing I don't know is play calling is an art. It really is.
Yeah.
It's knowing when to set up one play and to come back up a couple plays later. It's showing that little the deception. Getting that for you. It's the deception to get receptions, and you need a lot of that. And I think he can bring some stuff with LaFleur. I think LaFleur, the way he did some stuff, it looked all right. And I know everybody says, "Well, and also man, he was a backup quarterback. You know, they get along, and he can do that." Yeah, it's fine and all. Philly was a backup quarterback, whatever. But if you're not getting results, you're gone. So I'm still on wait and see. I want to see who he hires as his quarterbacks coach,
Mhm.
and I want to see run game. And this is one name I'm looking at. If they don't hire a run game coordinator yet, and this guy doesn't get an OC or another job, Greg Roman as a run game coordinator or a senior offensive assistant, I think would do wonders for his staff.
I would love that. I would love that. I would love that. Here, you said a lot there, but you said something that resonates with me. System. I don't like system coordinators. I like coordinators that come in and tailor things to what they've got on the field, the players they have. And another thing that I question is whatever system he has, whatever they run, it's going to stink the first few games.
Yeah.
They're going to struggle the first because it's historically that's what happened with Jalen. The first few games, whether it's Kellen, whether who the offensive coordinator is, they struggle the first few games because you have to change everything because you came out, you thought it was going to be one thing and it's not. And now you've got, and I think we all would agree at this point, AJ and Jalen tend to freelance with each other a little bit.
A little.
So, so they're gonna go. So how are you going? Because I don't know if that guy. See, that's the thing. Is that guy going to get the respect of those two guys? Is I mean, they're Jalen's quiet, but he's a dog. I think you would agree with me on that. He's a dog, and we all know AJ's a dog. And I hate that analogy. I love that analogy, but they have that system of four to bark. They are those guys. What did the young kids say? They're one of them. Like he's one of them, and I don't think Sean is. Sirianni, for all his nonsense, he's one of them. I think you would agree with me. Vic Fangio, his old ass, is one of them. I don't know if Manahan's one of them, man. And Shanahan, Shanahan is an amazing regular season coach, but falls short in the playoffs because in the playoffs you have to adjust. And you got to adjust on the fly, and you got to allow your instincts to take over. That's why the guy that's coaching the New Orleans Saints had such an outstanding Super Bowl with the Eagles because he too is a freelancer. Like he too is a okay. What? All right, the store doesn't have what I. The store don't have any eggplant parmesan. I got to think of something on the fly. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Okay, I'll go with this. I'll go with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't see that with Sean. I see that, same thing over and over and over again. And I don't like it. And he's going to be in a city where there's no patience. Philadelphia, aka the city with no patience, with a quarterback who is not going to stick up for him, with a quarterback who's going to be, this dude's scared and going to do what he wants to do. And then, real quick, I got to ask you a question. We got 3 minutes. Why did Dave say no, and why did McDaniel say
Well, McDaniel one, I really believe he's a West Coast warm weather type of cat. He wants to wear those capris out there. So yeah, that was happening. And then I think really with this upcoming year is going to be important for the Eagles because if they don't go, if they don't aren't successful, Sirianni's probably going. You have to look at the factor that is, and also Jalen Hurts, he might be going too because you look at 2020. What was it? Not 2027. 20. I know it's a far back, but 2020. Yeah, no, 2027. His salary jumps from $31 million to $42 million. If they and it's going to be tough to move him. The earliest you can move him is 2028.
yeah,
We
whatever
trade him.
restructure, You thought a lot because I think Sirianni is gonna be there for a while. I think Jalen's gonna be there. I think the guys that'll be going will be Saquon and AJ Brown. I think those will be the guys that'll be going. I think they're gonna cut that.
He
You look like you want to say something. We got 2 minutes. Spit it out.
Nick was almost like, and essentially Nick's under a lot more pressure, I think, than people realize. And I wasn't the
Really?
first. I wasn't the first to report it. McLean was the first to report it, but they thought about letting him go earlier in 2024 before they won the Super Bowl.
Really?
And that antics he has sometimes doesn't make the owner, the front office happy sometimes.
But that's so he gets results, and Andy got results, and they let Andy make one too many moves when he let Donovan go, and I don't think they let Nick make those moves. So as long as Nick doesn't try to make those moves, I feel like he'll be okay. But I stand on this one. This is AJ's last hurrah, win or lose. This is AJ's last hurrah, win or lose. They're not gonna because you can't do what he did all season. Come back in the playoffs, cost them a playoff, and he did. Period. Whatever you want to say, defense stood tall. Jalen made the throws. He didn't make the plays, and they kept going back to him because that's his guy. Listen, I'm not really big on man. And quickly, really quick, I got like 10 seconds. Raiders or Cardinals? Who makes the worst decision in their hire?
Cardinals. Kubiak's going to the Raiders. Cardinals for sure.
Love it. I love it. And that's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. If you like the podcast, make sure you share, subscribe, comment, whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. He's Chris Franklin. I'm Kwame Fisher Jones. Until next week, we appreciate your time and your ear. You be easy.